Yeah. Yeah. Colin, that's correct, Colin. All that means is don't talk, and we'll be out of here by 4:15. Yeah. Colin, that's correct, Colin. All that means. Okay, everyone. We are live. So welcome to the Risk and Audit Committee meeting on the 13th of August 2025. We have no public forum today, so without any further ado, we will start the meeting. So agenda item 1, apologies. We have 2 apologies, one from Alan Lees Fallett and one from Ned Tofari, and Graham Nayland, Councillor Nayland, is joining us online. Are there any other apologies? Looks like everyone else is here. I'm happy to move those apologies. Do I have a seconder? Mr. Councillor Weston. All those in favour? Carried unanimously. Agenda item number 2, members' interest. Does anyone have a financial or non-financial interest in any agenda item of today's meeting? No, that sounds like no. So again, I'm happy to move that we disclose any financial and non-financial interest agenda items, or that there are none. Seconded, Councillor Grafton. All those in favour? Carried unanimously. Item number 3 on the agenda is a confirmation of the previous minutes. I'm going to assume you've all read. Councillor O'Keefe.
Just a correction, it says there was no public forum. There was Ray.
At the last meeting?
Yeah.
Here
It says here that there was public forum response, no public forum.
Where does it say that?
Oh. Right, at the end, at page 16.
Yeah, on page 12, it does talk about public forum and Mr. Curnow.
Yeah, I see that. So why does it say that at the end then?
Because the reason I believe that was because at the time we said he couldn't present a public forum, then he was available to present a public forum at the next full council meeting.
Thank you.
Are there any other matters of alteration, change, or amendment? Would someone like to move that these minutes are, we receive these minutes and confirm these minutes? Moved Councillor Grafton, seconded Mayor Klein. All those in favour? Carried unanimously. Agenda item number 4, the action points. There is an action point list there. The first item, the Capital Works Program report, there is a paper in today's agenda. The other 2, are there any comments on the other 2 items which are due to be reported both in 2026? Councillor Reading.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Early 2026 means anything between, for me, January through to June. I noticed on above April 26, the internal audit, as we'll find out later, very, very important. And I thank the current staff members for that. But I believe if it's not done tomorrow, then I'd like it done on the 1st of January or something like that.
I do believe Mr. Newman is online. Mr. Newman, it does say early 2026. I think there's a feeling that the more specific date would be beneficial.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. Yeah, well, we can't do the 1st of January, but perhaps by the end of the first quarter of the the 2026 year might be more acceptable time frame.
Are we talking March?
Yes.
How does that sit with you, Mr.
If I
Councillor?
may, Mr. Mayor, it is what it is. Unfortunately, there are a few other matters that need to be addressed, in my opinion, not just payroll and accounts payable. And one of the biggies for me, it would have to be work in progress, which has been a sticky point anyway, but we'll talk about that later. But if we're looking at March and we don't have a RAC meeting in March, normally, or depending upon the timetable, of course, at the moment, based on now, we're saying we don't have, we know now, we don't have a meeting in March, it'll be in February. So I'm happy to go with March. Remember, at the moment, we meet every 2 months, bi-monthly. So if we're going to go with March, I'd rather, I'd rather put down February 26th, and then we know we can change that in February, depending upon the meeting agenda that comes out post-election. That's.
I think we could. I think that would be suitable.
Yeah.
If we put that February date for that, Charlotte. Okay, we can put that in. Are there any other matters arising from the action point list? No. Would someone like to move that we receive the action point list? Councillor O'Keefe, seconded. Mayor Klein. All those in favour? Carried unanimously. Agenda item number 5, which is the work plan. A work plan you've all seen many times. I'd just like to comment on the 23-24 annual report, which is, I see is due to be reported on at this meeting. Won't be. So obviously we'll need an amendment to that. And I think at a previous meeting, when we saw a report to say it would be completed by the end of this year. So I think we need to alter the work plan to reflect that. Are there any other comments on the work plan itself? No? Then I will move that we receive the risk and audit work plan for information.
What were you proposing to get that moved to?
Well, we did say December, so change it to December when that was the date provided to us. Yeah. So Councillor Grafton's moved it. Councillor Sampson has seconded it. You did twitch your hand there. Thank you very much. Any further comment? All those in favour? Any against? For that? Yep. Okay, that motion is passed. Agenda item number 6, the health and safety report for the quarter, the second quarter of this year. And this was prepared by Francesca Welt. Any comments on this report?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Taken as read, it's an information only paper today.
Okay, everyone's read that report. Any comments or questions regarding that report? It seems fairly comprehensive. Councillor O'Keefe.
Just on work-related injuries, I see that's significantly up. Is that because of the improved training and the better program in place around health and safety? Is it because people are picking it up more and doing?
Thank you, Councillor. Good question. We've got a more positive reporting culture.
Yeah. No
blame culture. Just want to make sure that it's a safe work environment for all. So there has been a shift in culture, which is now reflected in the results you're seeing.
So is it just because so that the work-related injuries been up so high? Is it just because of that?
I'm not sure I'd agree they've gone up so high. I can certainly find out a bit more information.
Yeah.
Councillor Sampson.
On page 22 with positive behaviour. What sort of things shows growth in a proactive safety mindset? What sort of things are we looking at?
I'm speaking to this report on behalf of Shantha, who's unwell today, so I'm going to do my best to answer. So just things again like the positive training. So when you report something, we're not looking at someone to blame. It's not about getting out the stick. It's about saying thank you for raising this. This should reduce any risk of harm in future. So just things about just changing the mindset of people reporting.
Councillor Reedy, did you have your hand up?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Yeah, in the past, and I mentioned it with the last report, we used to there used to be a section on bullying. Now I appreciate that. Okay, we'll report bullying if it's reported, but I want to. We're talking here about we're going to do fire drills. We're doing the first aid course and stuff like that. But there's nothing there to say how BDC staff manage bullying. And I'm at fault here myself. I haven't gone back to a previous agenda item where it was regularly reported, and I was going to send that through to Shantha. So I will get that sorted as soon as I can. As far as I'm concerned, that is a very, very important area and should be at least recorded on there, even if there are no incidences.
Thank you, Councillor. I'll note that back for Shantha, and we'll be able to update at the next report. I'm unsure if that would be more of a HR area, but we'll get some clarification and come back to you.
Thank you. Any further comments? No. Would someone like to move that the health and safety report for the second quarter of 2025 be received? Councillor Howard, seconded Councillor O'Keefe. Any further comments? No. All those in favour? Carried unanimously. Okay, agenda item number 7, which is the NEMA and Better Off Funding Project Status Report Summaries. Penny, would you like to speak to this report?
Thank you, Chair. Good afternoon. Just a couple of notes. You'll notice this is the last NEMA project overview. We have put the final claim in, so the last claims now will just be for retentions when they fall due. And on the Better Off funded projects, I'm just trying to close off the last of those, the Three Waters project, the final one of that. We're looking at procuring the final bits of that. Then it goes through to BAU so that I can close that one off, hopefully in the next month. The Westwater stormwater and wastewater one is complete. So we've just now got the Reefton stormwater modelling and the final bit of the cultural community hub work. Reefton campground is now out of Better Off funded as we're drawing down other funds, and we'll be delighted to see the cabins transported to site this week, and I'm sure Jamie and could actually comment on that, as I see he was there this week seeing them received. So I think everything else is pretty much taken as read in the report. Any questions?
Okay, right, Councillor Sampson.
Page 33, you've got the airport relocation as well as the stormwater wastewater reports that came in under budget, and over the page it says where the surplus went to. It doesn't seem sort of correct that you've said that that's what has been you've actually, that's what it cost and what it spent on both of those. So in actual fact, on page 22, it says that the actual cost and the revenue to date, whereas it didn't actually cost it. You have got over the page the explanation, but I'm just wondering, it just didn't sit right with me.
Sorry, I'm not quite understanding the question there.
Pardon?
I wasn't. Understand the question.
Well, on page 22, you've got the actual cost of Westport Critical Water.
I haven't got a page 22.
33, isn't it?
I'll be
Starts at page 26.
That's the table.
Yeah, the table.
The table on page 33, yes.
Yeah. And the airport for 34. So it's got the actual cost and the revenue to date. And then it's got nothing about the surplus or anything.
Well, the surplus is then recorded further down under,
Page, yeah.
so
But
that it all adds up in the end. So the surplus, the 15,642 went to local water done well, which is also on page 33 towards the end of that report.
yeah, I see that, but I just thought the actual cost of what the project cost should have been in that one pager on page 33.
Well, the 15,642 went to the local water done well as contribution to that report.
Okay.
The total cost for the airport was 34,358 as recorded.
You mean what was the original? Oh, I see what you mean. Yeah.
So the two together add up to the 50,000, which was the original budget.
I'm quite aware of that, but just the way it was recorded.
Yeah. Councillor Howell.
I just had a couple of queries around the reefed and campground accommodation. Just an explanation why there was more spent on the project and program management. And I noticed you're still budgeting for the contingency. So whether maybe it'll all square out to meet the approved budget. I do understand though, if there is an overrun, that it won't be a cost to ratepayers. It will actually be come back from profits from the cabins over in the future. But could you just maybe highlight why that extra management was needed?
So if you remember when we put the tender out, South Peak Homes won the tender to do the construction of the cabins in their factory premises and then to do all of the work on site in Reefton. When we went to negotiate the contract, they were unable to supply the trades needed to do all of the contract on site. We had to renegotiate contracts to stay within budget. The upshot of that was the project management was no longer going to be done by South Peak Homes, and Rick Barry had to take over all of the project management and coordinate all of the trades. And he's been on site a considerable amount of time over the last few weeks, hence the increase on the forecast increase on project management.
And did you expect that the contingency will be needed, or do you think that may actually end up covering that cost?
We may have some contingency left. We've still got unexpected costs coming in. So, for instance, we had to extend the insurance out to 20th September. So that's an additional $820. So there are things like that trickling in still. We're hoping we will have some left at the end, but obviously weather could go against us. Who knows what other things might happen to take over that contingency. But as you point out, there's no cost to council. That is a loan to the campground.
Thank you. Councillor Grafton.
Just on page, what is it, 38. Originally, when we talked about this project, it was obviously going to be no ratepayer money, but I thought it was decided that BDC amenities reserve, we were only using 330,000. Unless I remember that wrong, why now have we managed to use the whole lot of it? And who's made that decision? I thought it was agreed here that we were only using 330 out of that.
I'd have to go back and check the numbers. If it's 330, then that needs correcting and the contingency will come down accordingly.
So then where is the extra money is going to come from if that's in the budget of 1757?
Well, we've still got 58,000 contingency at the moment.
Right, because I'm sure we only agreed on the 330 out of that amended.
I'll go back and check on that. Thank you.
Okay, are there any more questions related to that report? Councillor Reddy.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, Mr. Chair, and through the chair. And thanks to Joe, the 35,000 negative on program and project management. Well, I did a quick calculation on 150 an hour. It came to be about 4 to 5 weeks extra work, and I'm not sure why taking over project management, if you like, from South Peak is going to give us that amount of additional work. It seems to me, and it's been a bugbear of mine since Adam was a cowboy, that contingencies are not really managed. They say, oh, we've got a contingency here, let's just use it, it's okay. There's no policing, there's no real oversight, because so long as we come in under budget, including the contingency, then everything's okay. So what I'm looking at here now is about $35,000, quite a material amount that has been taken out of the contingency, and I'm just being told that we've taken over a little bit more project management as a result of whatever South Peak have not been able to achieve. So unless Penny can give us some more detail on it, I'm extremely disappointed.
Through the chair, I would comment that the project management has been very professionally handled, and a very good project is being delivered. There were significant issues around the post-tender contracts and negotiation.
I mean, I believe every project does have a contingency, and it's part of your tender price. I understand what you're saying, that, I mean, there is sometimes maybe a feeling that the contingency is just used as a buffer, an extra, but having been involved in a fair few of these myself, there are a lot of unexpected costs involved in projects, and you don't really know until you hit the ground. But as long as they come within budget, I think we should be satisfied with that. Are there any other questions related to the NEMA or Better Off Funding report?
Not a question, just to reiterate or take the opportunity Penny had indicated yesterday. Myself and Councillor, we visited the site, and yeah, really busy site, lots going on, and seemed to be a good level of health and safety and things as well. Lots of scaffolding and men working at heights and all the rest of it. So it was good to see. And I guess the very various number of trades that are all getting pulled in from across, not only Westport but Reefton and others as well, and make it all happen. So quite a really busy site. Still targeting that mid-September, I think it is, handover. So yeah, I don't know if you have anything else to say, Councillor Bed, but seemed good.
Thank you for that. Councillor Reddy.
I'd just like to, through the chair, Penny, this is for me, on page 39, one of the better reports. It details it quite significantly, which is how I'm able to pick up how the contingency, instead of it being mixed in with everything else, is shown quite clearly. And given what we've had in the past, which has been good, this actually details it line by line. And I just want to say thank you for that, because it's a very meaningful and understandable document. So thank you.
Thank you.
On that note, Mr. Reddy, Councillor, would you like to move that we receive this report? Yes. The dance move is a bit optional. A seconder, Councillor Grafton. Any further discussion, comments? No, thank you, Penny, for that and for the work
Thank
that
you.
you do with this project. So all those in favour? Carried unanimously. So thank you for that. We'll move on to agenda item number 8. Once I've all scrolled to it. It's more fun this way. Okay. Okay, on page 50, the next agenda item is the financial performance report as at the 30th of June 2025, prepared by Glenn Pellow and reviewed by Karen Phipps. Are there any comments to be made regarding this report? Or should we take it as read?
Yeah, through the chair, just like to say that this is the management report for the financial performance report as at 30 June 2025, and it does remain subject to final year audit adjustments. And we have had put in relevant comments as we've obtained from the various budget managers, and you'll see the line by line results as well in the attachment. And yes, we're just taking this as read as well.
Thank you. Are there any questions? Councillor Reddy.
Sorry, Mr. Chair, no questions, but just the discussion after, sorry.
Okay. Are there any questions? If not, we'll move the motion that, when I find that motion, that the financial performance reports for the 30th of June, dated 30th of August, be received. Moved, Councillor. Oh, question. Okay, thank you. Councillor O'Keefe.
Under infrastructure and capital works, with the slightly high PMO costs, if there's an overrun, is there a ring fence contingency?
Can you just repeat the question?
Yeah. With the infrastructure and capital works part, right? If there's seems to be high PMO costs. So what's the plan if there's a cost overrun? Is there money there ring fence to cover that?
Are you talking about the comment where we've got about the delivery expenses? And
just with the looking at the financial performance report, just under infrastructure and capital works, as you're reading into it, slightly the PMO costs. If there's an overrun with that, is there anything ring fence to cover that?
I'm not sure, and we've got Jess from the infrastructure team. Do you have any comments on that or not? Because we know that we maybe some costs in that reallocated within the IS area, but yeah, not 100% of the ring fence though. Yeah.
I don't believe that's been fully resolved yet, and it's something that Karen and I will just continue to discuss.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks.
Councillor Sampson.
Yeah, page, excuse me, 53, partway down under operational expenses, we've got community facilities with an excess of 183,000 unspent over budget. Has there been something that significant that was budgeted for and not done?
We'll have to get back to you, Rosalie. I'm sorry, through the chair, we'll get back to you.
It's an underspend. It's underspent at the moment.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Yes,
It's been underspent.
Yeah.
So it's been underspent. Yeah. Thank you. I'm glad somebody does.
Okay. I'll go back again and move that the financial performance report for the 30th of July, June 2025 be received. Moved Councillor Weston, seconded Mayor Klein. Any discussion? Councillor Reddy.
For the record, I've just had a chat with both Karen and Glenn, so we're on the same page there. But just 2 points, if I may, please. Total surplus deficit. It's looking pretty good at 5.9 million, almost 6 million that we've made. Now, when we do capital works, and we've been funded externally for that money, accounting rules say that we have to report the revenue. We cannot offset the revenue against the costs incurred. The costs incurred go straight to the balance sheet. The reality is that we've probably spent 5.2 million, or on top of the 14,000 that's recorded there. The important one to look at is the operational surplus, which is 1.8 million negative as at 30 June. Now, what we have got, of course, is when we look at the port and dredge, for example, we've got revenue of 960. We've got expenses of just under 3.8 million, which gives us a 2.8 million loss. Okay. Now, there's been some announcements about Wanganui. There's been some other announcements made within the workshop, which I cannot disclose. However, I don't see a plan as to how this 2.8 million, on top of the 4 million that we've been carrying forward for from 2018, how are we going to offset about $6.5 million sitting on a balance sheet? The money has gone out of the bank, therefore the ratepayer is paying for it. I do not see the Holy Grail coming through in the next few years. How are we going to recover the 2.8, which is recorded on here? And it doesn't matter if it goes into the balance sheet or stays on the P&L. There's still money out of the bank. That has to be paid for somehow. So I'm very disappointed on that. I've just, and the other one is, sorry, it was about the revenue and the port and dredge. So the important one to look at, as I said before, and I'm going to reiterate it for the sake of the for media, we have not made a surplus of $5.9 million. We have made a loss of 1.8 million. And now there's some year-end adjustments to go on that, but it is not going to change significantly based on my experience. Thank you. If I may just say, both the accountants who are here are simply the messengers. All they're doing is reporting, not responsible for those amounts.
Probably more significant than messengers, I would say.
So just for my clarity though, I mean, you can't turn the accounting standards on and off to suit a narrative. So are we applying the accounting standards appropriately or not in terms of how we're reporting this? Because I'm hearing what you're saying, what Councillor Edie's saying, but like I wouldn't have thought you can use half the accounting standards and not the rest of the accounting standards. So are we reporting appropriately against accounting standards is my question through the chair.
Well, I mean, we have two accountants in the room. I would defer an answer to them.
Yeah, through the chair, yeah. So as I commented earlier, that these are the management accounts for the 30th of June. So we've still got year-end adjustments to do, which will, but as we are accounting through the year as well, we're following the accounting standards. And with the year-end annual reports, we will also we also follow the, the public reporting, the SASs for local government standards. So that's reflected in the notes to the annual reports as well. But at the moment, we're still working on the 24-25 annual report work and the note work. So there will be some year-end adjustments that we're still making for these.
Thank you, Karen. Councillor Reddy.
Anyone reading these accounts will see that we've got revenue coming in. There's no outwards, so one's got to ask that question. In terms of the question about are we following, I've already said that accounting rules say that we can't offset revenue that's come through from an external grant against CapEx, okay? We're not allowed to do that. So what has been followed here is correct. And what Karen has said is that when we come to do the notes to the accounts in the annual accounts, the annual report, that should be reported on there so that the, if you like, the reader fully understands that we have not made a surplus of whatever it is down here, 5 million or whatever it is, okay? It is a little technicality that's very annoying, but it is what has to be followed. I want to make sure of that.
Thank you, Mr. Reddy. Councillor Nolan, do you have any comments to make on this agenda item? Thank you. All right, this has been moved and seconded. So without any further ado, all those in favour? Carried unanimously. So thank you for the preparation of that report. Agenda item number 9, Bylaws and Policy Review to August 2025. This is prepared by Bronwyn Little and reviewed by Chrissy Trigg. Again, I guess we could take it as read, but are there any comments that you would like to make before I open up the question?
Yes, it is, as you say, it's for information only. We are going to have another report later in this agenda for the dangerous, affected and insanitary buildings policy. And next month we will get through the Class 4 gambling venue and TAB policy for your endorsement and review. And the rest of it is just other things that are in the pipeline and being actively worked on at the moment.
Thank you. Right, questions? We heard it picked up. Did you have a question, Councillor Sampson?
Page 56, number 9, navigation and safety bylaws. We've ended up here, getting legal advice has been received. Is there any chance that we look at that legal advice and why did we actually get it?
Through the chair, we can put that in diligence, but please treat that as confidential.
Councillor Reddy.
Mr. Chair, it's not a question as much, but more clarification on that, just to help Bronwyn out. We've already had a discussion. May I just elaborate a bit further, please?
Sure.
The reason why they talk about the legal advice, you may recall we had an agenda item, council, July 30, and we talked about expanding the whole area. What after discussions with Bronwyn, and thank you, Bronwyn, the navigation and safety bylaw that we have created in 2008, and it would have been under the Local Government Act 2002. But there's been a lot of movement in the maritime area in terms of the legislation in that area. So just for clarification, it's got nothing to do with the agenda item 7 that we did last time. All Bronwyn and is looking at doing is bringing that 2008 bylaw up to speed with the current legislation, which is why they have sought advice on that area. And I should imagine we'll cover the maritime, there's about 3 different ones that are required. So thank you, Bronwyn. Does that cover it through the chair? Does that kind of cover it through okay?
Yeah, yes, that's good. Through the chair, we asked the legal advisors just to get some concept over what we would be covering in the bylaw and the making of the bylaw.
Thank you. Well, that will appear on diligent forthwith. Councillor Reddy. Too late. But I'm taking a second. Moved Mayor Klein, seconded Councillor Reddy. Any further discussion points? No? All those in favour? Okay, moved unanimously. Moving on to agenda item number 10, which is the property rationalisation update. That was prepared by Brom Little, reviewed by Chrissy Trigg. And Chrissy, I believe you're talking to this report.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So just wanted to outline this has been a successful project. We've had lots of sales from the identified project. We've got ongoing properties that we're working on as well. Also good news for our ratepayers because it means that we've got other people paying for the rates on those sections, which is always positive. The full list was requested and has been provided. And in this report, we're just seeking resolution to continue with the project and which option you'd like to continue with. So staff recommendation is option 2, which is just as to the report, just outlines why we think that those 2 Denniston sections are best left as is, without incurring further funds to council. Happy to take questions.
Councillor Howard.
Just a query on thanks for providing that sheet that gives an update where all those original ones are stated, whether they're finished or not. We had 84 Demet Street, and we've got down now that infrastructure services require the land for dry ponds and stormwater access. I would have thought that there was still room for sections along the front and the roadside to be used, so and still allow for infrastructure behind. But I'd perhaps also like to state that the state of those sections is pretty disgusting with all the regrowing gorse and willows and that there, and surely we've got an obligation to maintain the weed control.
Thanks for your feedback, councillor. We do have contractors that go out there regularly to maintain those sections. However, I will feedback that it's long overdue. And as to the size of the retention ponds, I couldn't answer that question myself, but happy to get some clarification and come back.
Thank you, Councillor Reddy.
Mr. Chair, through the chair, good report. Thank you very much. I think there could be more added to it, obviously, as we see more properties. The question I do have is 2.2, the draft recommendation instructs the chief executive officer to defer. So, self-storage will we defer to me, so either we're going to, given the costs associated with it, are we going to can it all together, or are we going to see if someone will come in and we don't have to look? So you know, for the ancestors, if you like. So defer. Can we? I'm just asking at the moment, why are we deferring rather than being definitive?
Thank you for your question, councillor. I believe, and my trustee helper will let me know if I've got this wrong, but to revoke the resolution of the sale, sometimes if future council want to then go on and sell those sections, it can take a lot of untangling. So this way, deferring it leaves the option to sell it in the future if something else comes up. Just to leave that open as an option. That's what's been resolved by council.
So does that mean it won't come off the schedule? It'll stay on the schedule, so we don't lose sight of it.
I would assume that would be the case. Yeah. Yes.
Yes, I'm happy to keep that on, just as with a pin in it for now.
Councillor West.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just in respect with that 84 to me, I assume Bentham Street was actually going to be used or proposed to be used for the water, the main trunk, wasn't it? But now it's not. So is that going to still stay as a selling point, or is it going to be used as a access or something?
I haven't got the answer top of my tongue at the moment, councillor. I will get some clarification and come back to you.
Councillor Sampson.
Yes, on page 61, number 7, it's got the total of the 10 properties sold, 1.369 million. Where has that money gone, or where is it being held, please?
That's been used to offset rates, councillor. That's been used, I believe, to offset rates, and
To
again,
offset rates.
yeah.
Okay.
That was the purpose of the project, to be able to keep rates lower by selling property that was underutilised and not used, and no strategic use of holding on to it.
Thank you. And the second question is on page 63, about the time, sort of number 19, the next steps. So how long do you think it's going to take to prepare the Reefton Depot and the senior housing properties in Reefton for sale, considering they were given the go ahead quite some time ago?
We've, and I believe it's outlined in the report, both are subject to legal processes at the moment that we can't speed along. So they're in a legal process with the road stopping. That has to be, the process has to be seen out. And we're waiting on legal advice for the 2 sections, the old senior housing sections.
So in other words, there's no foreseeable
As soon
timeline.
as we possibly can, as soon as we get the legal thumbs up and we've been able to see the due diligence process through to the end. There's no reason for us to be delaying those. We would like to see those open up for Reefton people that would like to be buying them. So it would benefit us all as soon as those processes are finished.
And I presume that in addition to selling these properties and getting rid of the properties, you're getting rid of operational costs, removing operational costs as well. So it does have a double benefit for council and also for ratepayers. Okay, there are 3 recommendations. I'm recommending that we move all 3 together. Do I have a mover for these? The 3 recommendations are that the council notes progress made on the property rationalisation project and sales to date, instructs the chief executive officer to defer further preparatory work for the sale of section 67 TN of Denniston and lot 1 DP 542 Gill Street, Denniston, and number 3, instructs the chief executive officer to continue to progress in preparation and sale of the 2 Reefton properties already identified, and identify any further property no longer required for council purposes and report back to council for consideration. Do I have a mover for those 3? Councillor Weston, seconder. Councillor Howard. Any further discussion before we put the motion to the floor? No? All those in favour of those 3 motions? That's carried unanimously. Thank you for the report, and it is very detailed, and thank you for the ongoing work that you are carrying out. Okay, agenda item number 11. It's the Infrastructure Services Project Control Group report. This was prepared by Jess Curtis and reviewed by Anthony Blom. So, Jess, would you like to speak to this report?
I'll take the report as read. What I've tried to do with this one, because it's the one for the end of the financial year, is also give a summary on the council report to explain some of the projects that were delivered over the last 12 months. Some of the key points that have changed since this report was written was that we've also run a community question and answer session on the design for the Mokanui campground septic tank system, and the OMAL tender has been completed and is being awarded. The other key point I wanted to raise was that for the return to service program, because the majority of the large work's been completed, I've rolled it up into one summary line, make it easier to read. It will remain on there until it's been fully closed out with NZTA and also the final defects periods, but it's just a bit simpler for council.
Yeah, thank you.
And I had a couple of questions from Councillor Howard. So regarding the sludge project, so at the moment we're exploring the different solutions which include a pad and a cover. So what we're looking to do is optimise the composting process and minimise the leachate through the stockpiles of compost that we've got. What we do need to do is find the final solution that works in with the efficient operational costs and regulatory costs combined, which is what the team are working on at the moment. And for the stormwater data, So what this is relating to is a stormwater water model that BDC have engaged Worleys to complete. It's modelling different scenarios and the impacts of the different scenarios to stormwater in the township. We don't have any flow rates themselves. We haven't collected that data, so it's modelling data that we've received through that process. And the intent of that is to be used for the RIF funded project that we took to you at the end of last year around what we could do for that $17.5 million around design.
Thank you for that, that response, Jess, and thank you for loading the organic management feasibility study in our diligent. I'm not sure that's the stage yet, whether that could be released to public. I thought it was a very, very good read and recognising possible local selections on handling food and other organic waste.
Councillor Sampson.
Page 66, on top of the page, Karamea Landfill and Recycling Centre upgrade. That report has been closed off. So is there any chance of having a full copy of that report? Please?
Yes, absolutely.
And then on page 94, again, we've got the Little Whanganui Bridge redecking. I had a reply from the manager during the week or last week that it's going to cost $10,000 for a peer review. I'm still not happy about that. And the staff senior team decided they didn't want to spend that $10,000. Well, I'm sort of most unhappy about that because we can find money for other things, and I'm looking at the longer term that if this bridge, and hopefully it's not, but to put everybody's mind at rest that have spoken to me that they don't think the structure of the bridge is as sound as what these reports have, and you know, with a tick of the box that it's a long detour, which we don't have a detour at all. It might be just a flip of the lack of the flip of the pen, but I strongly feel that we need to do a peer review at $10,000 to say to all our ratepayers that could be affected later on if we had to replace the bridge, or to just put our minds at ease that everything's sweet. I just feel that we still need to do that peer review.
Councillor Reddy.
Mr. Chair. Got a few questions here, but very, very brief, apart from one. I support what Rosalie's saying regarding the bridge and the peer review, simply because we're looking at about 800,000 capex work on that, or around that is. For the sake of $10,000, when I look at the payback, who knows? So I do support Rosalie on that $10,000. For me, I know I'm always saying we don't spend money, but this is 10,000 v 880, I think, from memory. But anyway, there's that. We mentioned before about the organics, and my understanding was the current government has put a halt on that in terms of I think it was going to roll out about 2029 or something, but there's that. But we've also got on page 77 the speed management, which I also believe government put a stop on it in terms of speed management. So I just want clarification on that, those two items. The Toki Bridge on page 76. May recall about 2 years ago, I think now, we had a paper come forward about approving work to, if you like, finish off the budget that had been previously adopted. The council were quite adamant that no, how can we go out and do beautification work when we've got basically ratepayers who are struggling? So we put a stop to that, and I believe we should actually now, the money hasn't been spent, the budget should actually be wiped, but happy to be guided on that. And the other one is it was just been raised regarding return to service. I'm struggling with that at the moment. We've got a close on $900,000 that has been overspent. One on the Denniston Hill and another one, something I'm not sure what it was there, but they've both recorded on there. About 900,000. Now here we are talking about the increase in debt and the accumulating debt that we have. Now we ended up going through. We've got flood relief money from NZTS, return to service. Now, regardless of the fact that we had issues with the ground and what have you, we're still holding that baby, $700,000. Now, the other thing is, of course, is that who approved that expenditure? That additional expenditure of $700,000. I've gone back over previous agendas. I don't see where a paper came to us to say, well, the government's given us X dollars, but we now have to spend Y. We need your approval to carry on. Now, I'm happy to be corrected on that if I have made a mistake. But at the moment, we are looking at almost $1 million in overspends, which have not been approved by governance, and we're still waiting on NZTS. Now, at the moment, Mr. Chair, I've been told that, well, we're just waiting on NZTS, but we've been waiting since February this year. So my concern is, and I'm not saying it will happen, is that this could slowly go off the radar. The new people coming in potentially with the elections coming up. I would like to see it still maintained on the schedule, but I want to know, Mr. Chair, where is the communication? Where have NZTS said, no, we'll look into it, or go get stuff, but we'll keep, at the moment, we'll keep reporting it. This is a material amount, Mr. Chair. It is 700, almost 900,000, because another one of 170,000, and it's just sitting there. And believe it or not, Mr. Chair, I'm the one that gets blasted in the backside because I query this. Everyone else seems to be quite happy with it. If they are not happy with it, then they should be commenting on it. This is a material breach, as far as I'm concerned, on financial management.
Thank you, Mr. Reddy. So Anthony, Mr. Blom.
Through the chair, I think I've captured the questions, because there's a number in here. The first one was around the organics. This government did change the rules on kitchen waste collection. The previous government had a plan to roll that out across all of the country, and that's been put on hold. That's correct. This government, the second one was speed management. The rules around speed management changed quite dramatically, which unfortunately came into effect just prior to council adopting its speed management plan. I understand a year or so ago there was quite a bit of work done on that, and some expenditure on that as well. There are some items of speed management which we can still progress on, in particular around some of the schools, and that work is progressing. Toki Bridge, the item in there has been sitting there for a while. I personally, a little while ago, had a conversation with the contractor about getting the last little bit of defects works complete, which is what's sitting here. And we've had an assurance that that will be done shortly. And this is a good time to remind me to chase them again. Oh, it's currently been done. Thanks. Thank you, Jess.
I'm unsure about that one. It's one I'll have to investigate. It's been on the go since I turned up, so I'll have to do some research for you.
PGF funding. Okay, another explanation. It's externally funded. So as I do understand, it is just last defects for that contract that need to be resolved. The RTS overspend is of concern to everybody. It's highlighted and has been highlighted on every one of these reports that have come to RAC, and confirmed that we are awaiting NZTA to either provide additional funding or to confirm that they won't provide additional funding. The conversations with NZTA are promising, but we have nothing formal from them. Both Simon, CE and myself met with NZTA a few weeks ago, and we've had assurances that they will be sending us a letter forthwith. We were hoping that they might have sent the letter in time for this meeting, and we will continue to press them for their response, and hopefully before the next council meeting we might have something, but we have no ability to push them any further than we have. So the ball is really in their court. What I can say is the officers at NZTA are sympathetic to the issues. So for, I suppose, for everybody's clarity, the overspend and the reasons why it was there are probably the subject of the NZTA investigation and consequently the KPMG audit over the PMO, and the decision making around that has been well canvassed over the last few years in terms of why those things did or did not occur. What we can say is the work that has been done, in particular the work that Ms. Curtis has done in the last year over putting in procurement rules and practices and contract management practices, is we now have controls in place to be able to better manage that sort of situation. Even forbid that we actually get into another situation that we have a significant flood event to recover from. We can assure council and RAC that the item will not fall off this agenda because it is a very live and very material item. We are hopeful that there will be a positive outcome to it, but we can't confirm that at this point in time.
Thank you, Mr. Malone. Do you have a follow-up question, Councillor Eddy?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just regarding the Toki Bridge, it's all very well Anthony saying that he's spoken to so on and so forth, but when that came, Mike Duff put it through when he was here. It was an agenda item. We said no, it's not going to go ahead. Cannot remember what. I haven't gone back and checked it, but I can go back and check the minutes and the agenda item. So I don't believe we're in a position at the moment. Now, for whatever reason, paper actually came to council requesting permission to go ahead with the spend. Now I seem to think that I get the impression now, the way Anthony's talking, rightly or wrongly, that it's in the budget, we'll go ahead with it. But there is definitely an agenda item last year when Mike was around. I think I've lost track of the years now. Sorry, but we need to bring back that agenda item identified before any expenditure is undertaken in relation to Toki Bridge. Otherwise, we're going against the resolution. Thank you.
If I can just clarify through the chair, this is completion of an existing contract, and there are a list of defects that need to be remedied by the contractor before it's finalised. I'm not aware of council saying no, but we certainly have we have issued a contract for works to be done, and there is a final sweep up of works to be completed, and that is the item in the report.
Thank you for the clarity. Councillor Howard.
I just wanted to respond to one of the comments that Councillor Eddy mentioned about why are we doing the organic management one. While he's correct that the government's not imposing that we have a mandatory collection service now, there's many advantages to minimising our food and green waste, namely that it's all being carted to Nelson at the moment. So the significant cost to be made to the ratepayers, and plus many people as part of the survey said the services that they would use. So if you take the time to read the study, you'll see that there's some no cost opportunities there to reduce the waste. It's a very good read, and it acknowledges that ratepayers don't want to see an extra rate burden. So it outlines quite a lot of innovative ways that we could actually achieve some good objectives.
Thank you. And councillor Grafton. So.
Just a couple there. The first one, I thought the Toki Bridge one was our saying no was on the extra work in that area that they had funding for. I thought that was a no, but not on the end of the Toki Bridge. I thought that was separate. The second one I have a question is the Omaha Road intersection. I'll just watch what I say in case is the tender. Is that gone public? I can't remember whether it has gone public or not.
Not yet.
No, it hasn't. So my question, cost to date is 387. So obviously that's not in the tender. So the figures don't seem to add up to me, but that might be a question I better off asking later on, is it?
Happy to talk you through it.
Right. Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Grafton. Councillor O'Keefe.
Just a couple of questions. Yeah, of course, I'm waiting on the information from the Mokanui and Punakaiki camp costs to that. Also, the Carnegie Library, what was the reason why the application was unsuccessful? And second question, I can wait. Just wait a minute. The blue grey and brown grey bridge, why is there an overrun there?
Thank you.
So the Carnegie Library, I believe the committee were going back to find out why the grant was unsuccessful. I personally haven't heard any feedback myself. The blue and the brown grey, so the project managers continually, every month, this is their trigger to forecast their costs. So at the moment, the project manager seems to be highlighting that he might have an overrun. We still need to tender this work, and so that would be his chance to test that and get a better understanding of the actual costs. Should he need to request additional funding, then that will go back to the budget owner and have a formal change request and be properly updated. With the baseline budget will be updated because of that.
Councillor Grafton. Weston. Like twins.
Thank you. We are like twins. Yeah, just a typo on 93 with the Toki Bridge. It's Victoria Square, not Victoria Park. So you just want to put that in.
Well spotted. Good one, Mr. Grafton. Councillor Reddy.
And also on page 81, there's a comment there that says early 2025. We're already in 2025. I think maybe it should say 2026. It's on page 81.
Thank you. Okay, I'm going to move this motion that the report, Infrastructure Project Services Control Group report dated the 30th of August 2025 be received. I'm happy to move that. Do I have a seconder in the room? Councillor Grafton. Any further discussion? No, then I'll move that motion. I mean, sorry, all those in favour? All those in favour? Mr. Mayor, are you in favour? Or are you? Yeah, thank you. Thank you for that. So carried unanimously. All right, moving on to agenda item number 12. The Waimangaroa Raw Water Project closure. And this was prepared by Jess Curtis and reviewed by Anthony Blom. Jess, have you got anything to add to this report?
So this report was around the finalisation of the Waimangaroa water. What I've tried to do is explain where the cost came from, what the final scope was, because it sounded to me like there was some scope changes, so just try and summarize that and what the final spend was. Then I worked with the finance team around what we do in these situations, and so that's been discussed through the body of the report. The research we got to was that in a situation like this, the rates go to the further water services activity so that it stays used for what it was intended for and goes against future projects. In this situation, an example of a future project that this can be used in is the untreated water supplies, where we have Waimangaroa, which has got about an $880,000 project coming up over the next 4 years. So we'll be going towards those sorts of projects.
Thank you. I'll go with Councillor Sampson first.
Right. Can I have it explained to me? How have these people been rated? Because I understood that they have been rated for this whole amount, and they are paying targeted rates on that, to the extent that I understand their targeted rate this year has gone up $200 per property. So if that's what they've been rated on for the whole project, why? I just see it difficult that still going for increases in their targeted rate when it's that surplus sitting there. And why is it sitting there? Is it a matter of drawing down as you need it, or has that money not been drawn down, so therefore their rates shouldn't have been going up, because that project finished some time ago, so their rate should not have gone up, their targeted rate, $200 per connection this year.
So through the chair, so I'm not an expert in how we set rates. That's something that goes above my head. My understanding is the money, or what I can confirm is the money, the project cost less than expected, which is not a bad thing. The money for that project doesn't get drawn down unless it's spent. So that remaining $500,000 or whatever it is was not borrowed. My understanding though is that because we planned to borrow for it, the rates were set as if we had borrowed for it. So you're correct to say that the ratepayers are rated for that borrowing, even though we haven't taken that borrowing. So the plan for here is to use that money as part of a future capital or renewal project. So something that would otherwise cause additional rates, but that would be used without causing additional rates at that time. If we spend more than that on a different project, then of course that needs to be rated for.
Councillor Sampson.
That therefore the ratepayers there are paying the interest and the cost of that $457,588, and it may not be used, and they'll be paying that for another 4 or 5 years. When you read through the local water done well, it's words in there like might and may. So by the time that that's probably going to be spent, we'll have another organisation dealing with it. I find that one that I'm being charged for close to $500,000 that hasn't been spent is abhorrent. You know, these are people who can't afford it, and then their rates go up another $200 a piece. They're paying more than Westport. Well, not quite, but they're paying more than Westport in rates for a little place out there, and they've got $500,000, so to speak, sitting in the bank because it hasn't been spent.
Yeah.
So I thought you said that they didn't the 500,000 wasn't drawn down because it wasn't spent, so they haven't been paying interest on 500,000.
So we need to clarify exactly how that works. Yes, the $500,000 wasn't drawn down because it wasn't needed. So I'm hearing two stories from different parts saying, one saying the rates are set based on the plan to draw it down, and on another side saying, no, it's not. So I think we need to come back to you with.
So my understanding is that, you know, the rate, you only get one chance each year to set rates. So you would have set the rates anticipating you were going to spend that whole budget. That's what you rated for. And then you didn't actually draw down $500,000 of it. So they've been paying on the old budget, which wasn't drawn down. But I guess my question is, and I agree with Councillor Sampson, given the uncertainty around what's happening with local water done well and all the rest of it, why can't we refund that overspend? You know who the people we've collected it from are. It won't have changed much.
Through you, Mr. Chair. I think two things just to pick up on Anthony's point. Councillor Sampson is absolutely correct. They have ultimately, and Anthony for that matter as well, they have ultimately paid the rates for that as if we were going to draw it down when you set your rates. However, the Mayor is also correct. We won't be paying interest on it because the money's not drawn down. In terms of the questions around issuing a refund, that's something I will take away with the team. I know that Paul's online, so he may be able to comment on it. But I can certainly in the next few days understand from the rates guys if that's a possibility as well.
Well, I would just, the last comment is that it seems to be odd that we would have put their rate up literally 3 weeks ago when we know their account has already $500,000 in credit. So I don't get that we wouldn't have, if they're already in credit balance, we would have either just held their rate for another year or pending that, we should refund it.
Yeah, through the chair, I'll take that if we can capture that as an action for me to look at this week and I'll come back to you.
Thank you. Councillor Grafton.
Yeah, I suppose along the lines of that same thing, I would have thought we knew that this was going to be an underspend before we set this year's rates. So that 400 odd should have been taken off their rates straight away. I'm not sure. Unless obviously there is a bit different story to this. The story might not be exactly what it actually is. But, and as Rosalie said, if they've actually increased, they should have actually got a decrease, obviously, of that 450 odd thousand. But, and that's another thing going forward, I suppose, for John, if we got to the point of this 450 sitting there and we don't spend it on Waimangaroa, if in the future this CCO, we talk about harmonisation, how would that affect that 450,000?
Through you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, Councillor Grafton. So again, two things. So the 450,000 we will take away and we'll establish if we can get the residents of Waimangaroa a refund. In terms of why it was set, that's something I'll need to take up with the ratings team, of course. The only other thing I would suggest is that I think there's another way to look at the comment you made around the new CCO, Councillor Grafton. I'm going to put a plan together as part of our annual plan process in terms of how we rate for water across the district. I think that we need to get more, in terms of the steering group, which we'll go on to talk about in a minute when we talk about our local water done well project. My view is that certainly it would help if the Buller district as a whole has a similar rate for water. Now, yes, that will affect certain parties, but also in a positive way, but ultimately also may affect somebody, you know, slightly negatively in terms of the cost that they may have to pay. So my suggestion is that we would do that as part of our annual plan process. But in terms of 450,000 that's on this report, I would be hoping we can sort that before then. I hope that answers the question.
Thank you. It was a good point raised. Obviously, there were some savings to be had, so that should be passed on to the rest. Councillor Sampson, did you want the last word?
Yeah, just if we can have a report on exactly what has been spent and when and how they are rated over the last probably 5 years, because it should go in increments. It has gone up in increments quite substantially over the last 5 years. It'd be 2 years since that work was done. So I suggest that this recommendation just be dropped at this moment.
The recommendation is only that the report be received. And I think we have received the report. It's elicited quite a lot of debate and also some discussion points to be brought back to the council.
So
Mr. Mayor.
just a further point of clarification. So the 457 isn't cash we've rated them. So it's not 457,000 to be refunded to the Waimangaroa community. It's just that because that's capital, whereas the rating is made up of OPEX plus a portion of capital. So I would imagine any refund would only be, whatever, proportionately 50 bucks or something.
Correct.
Whatever it would be. I think we should leave this paper on the table and just tidy all this up and come back to the next meeting.
Councillor Reddy. Councillor.
One was more a procedural thing. When we've got a targeted rate and we don't spend all the money, like, would it normally come back to the council to resolve what to do with that one? I'm a bit annoyed that we are facing this when surely it should have been captured in the process, whether it's through the annual plan or something like that. We should have, matter of course, been addressed. And I'm not quite sure what the answer is. So maybe part of the report, what should happen in the future, be the part of the rating that's underspent.
Yeah. And finally, Councillor Reddy.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. One question, and then when we go into discussion, I'll take advantage of 5 minutes. Thank you very much. The question I've got is on page 100, and my apologies. Page at the start, we've got a 2020. We had a budget of 2.5 and was funded by targeted rates of 2.3 and MIH 200. Page one of the I don't know what page it is, sorry.
99.
91, is it? I've got a jam here. I looked it. I think it might be 99.
Come on, Max.
If I can. So it's the front page of agenda item 12. So we had a budget right from the start. And included in that budget of 2.3, I'm asking a question here through the chair. And this is obviously before Anthony and Jess. But we had a budget of, as it says on here, of 2.3. That included $1 million for a treatment plant. And it's recorded in there to say, well, we found out that that million was too short, so we're not going to go ahead with the, we didn't have enough budget for that, so we'll go ahead and just do everything else. Now I'm seeing, so to me, the budget would have been 2.5, less than $1 million, would have been 1.5 million. So I'm asking a question here. So why have we come up to about $2 million when the actual budget was really only $1.5 million? So can someone please give me an answer on that? And it sort of follows on, if I may, with what Rosie's asking about a breakdown of that particular budget for 2.5 million. So it may be a work in progress. Can I just get an answer on that one, please?
Good question. And do we have an answer to that question at the table?
It's tricky when none of us were involved in the project. I mean, my understanding of it is that there was a budget of 2.5 million, and as they went to tender, it came in far greater than 2.5 million, and the scope was then reduced to fit within the $2.5 million. So it doesn't necessarily reduce the project budget as such. They've reduced the scope to fit within the budget, but I don't have on me a list of the original budgets and what their tender prices were to reduce that.
I think it probably would be useful if we're going to hold this paper over. There's a lot of questions that obviously need to be answered, and we're all guessing at the moment. So would it be useful to bring this back to the table at the next RAC meeting with those questions answered? And we can have a better discussion.
So through the chair, I think that's a good suggestion. And just for clarity, so this would be the report as we have it. We would need to add to that the impact on rating and the options for unrating that we might have, as well as to the last question around how the project scope was changed and what approval process that came through. So there'll be
and also through the chair, and also you've asked for 5 years worth of information on how it's been spent.
Yep.
So we'll endeavour to get that back in time for the next RAC.
Yep.
In terms of what information is available. I just do note that I'm not sure we have people here who were involved in that project, so they will be digging around in reports to try and get the information that we can.
And that sounds good. Councillor Weston.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Yeah, I've been waiting a while. Yeah, just on the matter of resilience, I know the intake had some questionable resilience over the years. I just wondered whether that is how's that fared in the last weather events and stuff like that? Is it still causing an issue, or is there some of that money is going to be spent on that? Or
through the chair, I can add that to the next report.
Councillor Reid, do you have another valuable thing to add before we move on?
Or if I may please, Mr. Chair, we're not going to the discussion stage now because we're going to hold it over.
Correct.
So just 2 points, and Anthony's made one of them, and I've acknowledged the knowledge gap for me, and that was basically setting a target rate, maybe even a general rate where it is based on budgets, and quite often people say to me, "Oh, but it's only an estimate." So I'd like to see when it comes back, and it may not be able to come back in September. I accept that, but it might be for the new council that there needs to be some understanding of the mere fact that we use. Looks to me as if we've done a targeted rate based on 2.5 million. We shouldn't be doing that because we haven't incurred the actual cost. So now I've got a gap, basically, Mr. Chair, and that is, well, how do we fund that? So on and so forth. So I'd like to see that. The other thing I'd like to see, I'm dead against it, and that is, we've got a budget of 2.5 million. We've got an underspend of about 400,000. We're going to save that and we're going to use it on something else. Now, the purpose of generating and approving a capital budget at the start of each financial year, that's set in concrete. Now, if it goes over, I want to know why. If it goes under, good stuff. But if it goes under, you don't then turn around and say, "Oh, we might just use that for something else." You've got to come back and ask to use that money. So for all intents and purposes, if it hasn't been drawn down, it is a saving, basically, a paper saving only, and therefore we need to work out also, when we're going to come back, this question of repurposing CapEx budgets. So we can also put that on the paper, please, and that's why I'm suggesting, Mr. Chair, we won't get it done before the elections. It's a big matter.
I do hear what you're saying, and I'm sure it would come back to council before a new project was.
So if I can just clarify on that, the repurposing of the budget, I just want to be clear that that is not officers making up another project to spend that money. It would be using that money on a project that would be in the LTP or the annual plan. So those projects would have already been approved. It's just that there is already an underspend here. So instead of borrowing new money, you would take the underspend from a previous project and use it for that. So it's not repurposing it on a different sort of project. It would be an annual plan or a LTP approved project.
Okay, thank you. I think enough said on that particular agenda item, because it is coming back to us in very short notice. So now the next agenda item is a very straightforward, easy one. And that's the update on the local water done well. Previously 3 waters. And it might have a new name in a couple of years, who knows? So over to you, Mr. Salmon.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Yeah, Anthony, Simon, and myself, we thought it'd be a good idea to bring an update to the, and two elected members that have been involved, thought it'd be a good idea to bring an update to the Risk and Audit Committee, just to give everyone an understanding of where we had currently got to. I will take this report as read, but I just want to add in the fact that there has been a couple of further meetings since the ones that I've already put on the agenda last week. And we're certainly making movements, which is great. And also just to update you that we will also have legal presence, and we'll have the DIA will also be here at the end of the month when we're adopting a water service delivery plan. So of course I'm more than happy to take any questions, and thank you for your time.
Thank you for the work you've already done, and I know it's a bit of a minefield, still is a bit of a minefield in a murky, hazy climate.
Yeah.
So are there questions for Mr. Salmon? Councillor Sampson.
Not questions, just comments, and sort of part of a comment I made before that, you know, bullet point in number 8, no price harmonisation initially. Then all agreed that there will be no one single head office. So it's just all not definite, no real definite comments made. They're all sort of maybe, and yeah, I just find it very disappointing, because when you're just sort of saying no price harmonisation initially, well, it can be later on. It's agreed that there won't be any single office, head office, or there does not need to be one single head office. Well, I thought there was going to be having one unit was going to be where your economy of scale was going to come. And yeah, they're just different other pieces in there that is, yeah, not definitive. Yeah.
I think, to be fair, so before Mr. Grafton, to be fair, there is a lot of uncertainty in this whole process still around the country, and I think it feels like we're actually a bit ahead of the game in terms of some areas around the country in terms of this, but it is, you know, they are sort of charting the path as they walk it feels, but I don't think there's a choice in that. Councillor Grafton.
Yeah, I suppose, and just through the chair, just what you've said there is the fact that harmonisation part of it, I mean, they're saying nothing at this stage, but further down the track, if it's financially the way to go, then they'll look at it. So, I mean, you can't say any more than that. We're up to like the 3rd meeting in this thing that's going to be quite a behemoth to get over the line. And as far as I think they talked of not having one home base, I suppose, is whether financially it would be feasible to have 3 small bases or whatever. Again, is something that's got to be teased out over time. It can't be after the 2nd or 3rd meeting. Is why it's only put that in there as maybes.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor Klein.
So I think just to add to that, I think just to understand the context of this, so this is just the key points feedback into the legal team to develop the heads of agreement. So it's the with I say negotiating points to give them some writing instructions to come back with the heads of agreement, which will come back to the forum to formalise all those kinds of things. So it was the comment around home base or not home base was around the view that potentially there's a merit in it not just being centralised in Greymouth, that there might be merit in having arms of the business potentially tacked on to council. One might do the billing side, someone else might host the engineering side, or whatever, just as an example of the kinds of things that the entity might explore. And I think that what I think we're trying to achieve is that the entity is locking down the things that we think sort of should be non-negotiables from a owner point of view, but not constricting the ability of the entity to make sensible commercial decisions, because that's the whole point, is that you're getting some commercial efficiency around decision making in the board. And if it's hamstrung by saying it must have an office here, here, and here, and it must have 10 people in it, and it must do this, then actually you're defeating the whole purpose of having independent, commercially operated CCO. So it's about that balance between what are the things that we should try and lock in in the original founding document, and what are the things that we really think that entity should determine once it gets up and running. And one of those, in reality, could be price harmonisation in years to come, but it won't be something that will happen in year one.
Thank you, Councillor O'Keefe.
Just a question to John. With coming with people are going for numerically, especially down in Westland. What happens in Westland if they get a new mayor and that mayor's hugely opposed to this? Is there any way that they can pull out?
Through the chair, thank you, Councillor O'Keefe. It's a question we've been discussing at length over the last couple of weeks, not just on Westland District Council, but just everyone in general terms. I think that the CEO has shared some information around that with everyone, but there is ultimately the ability to pull out, as we've discussed previously. However, as you'll see from some of the information that's been passed on, that then involves the next steps and the next stages of that process, which is ultimately where the DIA may step in and then ultimately deliver a water service delivery plan for governance, and not based on what everyone around the table is looking for. So yes, there's a view that people can pull out, but really, if we do that, then that probably would face more challenges than not doing it. The short answer is legally they can, but also that obviously any cost that's been implemented at that time would be on them to pay for ultimately. But I as well, whether or not the lawyers and the Department of Internal Affairs would actually allow it to happen, that's probably a different story, and one that we don't know the full answer to as of yet.
Through the chair, and the DIA have made it increasingly clear that the CCO is the option they want.
I think, it has been made public in the media. There is a few councils that have done exactly that, and the DIA are certainly all over that.
Councillor Reedy.
And then, Chair, I'm happy to move.
And can I, before you move that, can I, Councillor Nolan had a question.
Not really a question, more comments. So I'm happy to be moved and then I'll comment.
Okay. So Councillor Reid moving.
I'll move.
And do we have a seconder for this motion? And the motion is that the updated local water done well is received, the report. So seconded Councillor Grafton. Councillor Nolan.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Really disappointing, I suppose, in the aspect of, especially with what I've heard today. My understanding when we had the hearing, and we had a hearing to decide whether we were going to go this CCO way or a standalone business unit in-house, and now to hear that the DIA wanted a CCO all along makes a bit of a falsehood about why we went out to consultation with the options. I voted for it because I believed that what we were being told was the only sure thing we had was that going CCO would save $1,000 a year for ratepayers by year 9. And so that meant that the CCO option was $1,000 a year better off for people. But what we didn't know was what was going to be the cost of governance for the CCO and what were the stranded costs that were going to be left with council anyway, because not all the cost of the current costs that have been attributed to the Three Waters is going down to Three Waters, because there's overhead costs that are being paid for, if you like, by targeted ratepayers that are coming to the normal council cost. And, they're in all the budgets. So my understanding was that when I had those concerns at that meeting or that hearing, was that there would be off-ramps. There'd be lots of off-ramps. And my understanding was, the first thing that was going to happen in this last 44 days since that meeting was we were going to try and firm up things like governance costs and things like stranded costs, so that and we'd get a report back to say, it's looking more like the more and more like that $1,000 has dropped down to $400 difference or $300 difference. To have this update, it just seems like it's full steam ahead. We're not worried about whether we come out at $1,000 per ratepayer better off at year 9. We're doing it anyway. And that's a real disappointment. I think we've been hoodwinked in terms of that. So to me, you know, if the difference in year 9 turns out to be $250, well, I think we'd be far better off having a standalone business unit than going down the CCA road. I'm really worried about it. When I look in the past, where we've tried to do things with the 3 councils, SNA project many years ago was a case in point, where we had Eugenie Sage from Forest and Bird saying, you know, we only need to do 100,000 desktop study on this, and we spent $1 million when we decided to team up with the 3 councils, and we still didn't get our SNAs identified. We've gone down the TTPP road, where, you know, the local government commission, Janie Anir, told us we could do it for, you know, $300,000 or $400,000, and we're looking down the barrel at the moment of $8 million. So I don't have a lot of faith. You know, we're saying we've got control. Well, yeah, we end up with 2 appointed directors for the CCO, 1/3 of it and 2/3 against us, if you like. So no control whatsoever. And I base that on the fact that we've got our own CCO, Westreef, or Buller Holdings. What influence have we had over that? Not much, even though we appoint all the directors. So yeah, really concerned about how this has been navigated, if you like. I think we've been hoodwinked. There was never an option, from what I've just heard now, that DAI wanted it anyway, regardless. You know, waste of time consulting with people about whether we should have had the standalone business unit, because the decision's been made for months. And yeah, also disappointed that 44 days since we made the decision. We get an update now and we're still no further ahead, and we've got, you know, 20 days left. So yeah, really regretting now that I put my faith, you know, in good governance procedures, if you like, backed up by good management, that we would have an off-ramp prior to the 3rd of September. You know, we were told at the last meeting I attended that there's no way you'll get an off-ramp after the 3rd of September through DIA. So all this talk about all these safety nets, these off-ramps, has simply been conjecture. And to be let down so badly is really disappointing.
And thanks, Graham. Quite a lot of questions and thoughts in there, and some truth in that as well, to be fair. Councillor Reedy, did you want to add to that?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Having moved, I have last say. Are we doing questions or
unless there's any other comments, you can have the last say.
Yeah. If I may, I hear what Graham's saying, Rosely's saying, and Mr. Mayor. Okay. Now, the way I'm reading this, I know a lot of time has elapsed, but we're looking at the update on data today would be received. We're not asking to make any decisions per se, and during the meeting, we've got a number of action or ideas that they put on the table, and then we're looking at the next steps. So as far as receiving, we're not asked to do anything. That's the reason why I have moved it. I can understand the frustration, but there's a lot of frustration everywhere regarding this, and regarding off-ramps and the like. I'm very surprised, though, that DIA would come out and say one CCO, given that legislation from memory, which I don't have now, said CCO or we can't remember what the word was now, but a business unit. So very, and I will look at that when I get back, because I just don't see that being correct. But apart from that, I'm happy to kick on and wait and see. 3rd of September, of course, we will not be here. So we're reliant upon governance to, management to put the paper forward. I believe we do have an opportunity. We do have an opportunity, as Tony asked, if someone should pull out, it could even be us. Then it's a whole new ball game. So let's get the paperwork done, get it up to DIA. There's going to be no decisions made until 1 January or after. During that time, we'll have a new council, perhaps, and let's wait and see what happens.
The last word. Oh, yeah. Yeah. So yes, you did have the last word. So we are going to put that to the floor. All those in favour of receiving that report? Any against? 3. So that motion is passed.
Could I name recorded against? Thanks.
Yes. You've got recorded notes. Yep. Yeah. So back to you, Mr. Salmon. The next report in the update of the 22-23, 23-24, and 24-25 annual reports.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We have got Mr. Newman online as well to take any questions. I will take the report as read. This just gives the committee an update on where we're currently at with our annual reports. The last draft meeting we had, I'd updated to say that with a bit of a valuation issue with Becca and the auditor, but we have resolved that. They have now got EY have now got all the updated information from Becca. So as that stands, we are just awaiting our final audit opinion, which should be through, we believe, relatively soon. However, we've not been given a date from Ernst & Young yet. In terms of 23-24, the auditor has confirmed that they will be on site in the Fuller District Council in October, and that will be to do their audit of the 23-24 annual report. And then from 24-25, they'll take care of that once that 23-24 is complete.
Thank you, John.
Happy to take any questions.
Councillor Reddy.
Yeah. Just noted on oh God, I've lost it again. 0.5 and point 8. We're talking about 7 and 8 we're looking at. We've got 23-24 that's still sticking over. 22-23. We're talking about annual reports. We've got some dates here. Will be completed by the 31st of December. But we haven't got on here what is expected for the one that's been outstanding for 22-23. Why don't we have a date as to when we expect to be able to adopt that? 23-24, 24-25 we have, saying end of December 25. Just like to know what there is proposed for 22-23, please.
My understanding, Mr. Reddy, is that we just rejigged the work plan to sit it at December of this year, the 22-23.
If I may, sorry, if I may, work plan was on another agenda item. We said, okay, this is what's going to happen to the end of. I'm reading this now, this particular agenda item that says that this year, the year just gone, the previous current 2 financial years will be audited, will be completed by 31 December 25. That's what it says on here, but it doesn't give us a date in here in the agenda for the one that's been holding everything up. That's all I'm asking. So the question is, why don't we have a date?
Mr. Newman.
Through the chair, and thank you for the question, councillor. We are in the hands of the auditor. We've finalised all matters as far as we're concerned in relation to the 22-23 annual report. My understanding is they are going to take all the information that we've been given and the audit opinion back to the Office of the Auditor General, and then they will come back to us. They have not given us a time frame. They have mentioned in passing that they are flat out busy with doing annual report audits. There is a high likelihood that we may not get this before the elections, but we just have to, we're in the hands of the auditors and we just have to wait until they come back with the updated opinion.
Thank you, Mr. Newman. It does seem a bit of a shame, given that it's a 3-year-old annual report. You'd think it would be a priority item to allow us to move on. But Councillor Reddy.
Oh, I was going to move.
Oh, do you have another question? I'm sorry, you had a question, Councillor Sampson.
Question, yeah. Oh. I'm speechless as to why and how long, and it's all very well. The auditors have got a heap of audits to go out there. Well, it stands to reason, of course. Everybody has an audit every year, but they're always going to be busy. But surely to goodness, we should be able to get ours out of good manners and update for the councillors. Can we not even just have an in-committee meeting with the staff and detailing some of the questions are being asked for? We keep getting, oh, they're asking more questions, we're giving them more answers. What are these questions? We're giving a broad brush answer that this is, you know, they're asking for infrastructure updates, etc. But for goodness sake, it shouldn't be taking all this long. And I think we as councillors who are meant to be governance have some idea of what these questions are being asked.
Through the chair. Those 4 questions are outlined in section 5 and they've been provided to council previously, and we've satisfied the auditors with the information that they required, and we've now left the matter with them to finalise. I share your frustration. We've worked as hard as we can to get this matter over the line, and we are now in the hands of the auditors. They tell me they've gone back to the Office of the Auditor General to get the, finalise the opinion, and they'll come back to us.
Councillor Sampson.
Yeah, I hear that, but what I'm asking is, you've given the answers. Surely we should have some idea, understanding of what those answers are, that we can understand whether they're serious or they're just sort of run-of-the-mill questions. So I'm asking that we see just what those questions are.
Councillor Reddy.
I'm happy to move item 10.
Well, the recommendation is that the update in 22, 23, 23, 24, 24, 25 annual reports dated the 13th of August 2025 be received. It's been moved by Councillor Reddy, seconded Councillor Howard. I hear your frustration, Councillor Sampson, because it's the same frustration that we all have. Councillor Nayland.
Yeah, absolutely back up what's been said, Mr. Chair. 27 years I did on the council. I don't think we were late once. So surely we must have had some practice about getting information to auditors for annual reports. So I think we are deserving of a rather comprehensive report that outlines why, the last 2 reports have not been available in a timely manner. We've had little snippets of information that they wanted more information on this, but I think we're deserving of a full report about why, did the methodologies change, because this has gone from the sublime to the ridiculous, really. So I'd like to push for a comprehensive report.
I think you've heard that, Mr. Pickford. What are your thoughts? Oh, sorry, Mr. Newman.
Through the chair again, you'll get a comprehensive commentary as part of the...
Let's hold you for a minute there. So order, Mr. Reddy. Councillor Reddy.
It's been moved and seconded. Yes, it's now debate for governance, not staff. Staff are involved when it comes to answering questions. We've now moved into the debate area. staff an hour out of it, but I'm happy to be corrected on that, please.
I don't know the answer. I was just asking Mr. Newman because he might give us some clarity about resolving a.
I will provide it. Yeah. Finally,
Say it again.
I will provide the clarity for you, Mr. Chair, in my final speech, which will be for those who can stay awake 5 minutes.
Okay. I mean, it would seem to be logical that we get an answer, but if that is what the standing orders are, and I'm happy to be persuaded otherwise. Mr. Mayor, you get any input into this?
It's fine.
Any?
You don't want to, I mean, yeah, I don't want, I'm not appropriate that I debate Councillor Nayland's view. I don't disagree with anything that's been said. I just, Councillor Reid, I just, out of courtesy, I will be having to leave the meeting now. I've got a meeting, phone call due with the minister. So if I leave, it's not because, it's not in any disrespect, please. It's booked at 5:30, so can't help that.
All right, then Mr. Reddy, final word.
Final words, 5 minutes starting from now.
No, you've already said 5 minutes, so you've used a minute and a half.
Anyway, in all seriousness, I hear where Graham's coming from, but there seems to be a lack of one, understanding, and two, information coming from staff. Okay, I'm going to go back to 2020, 21, COVID. There was a big story. It was completed by Audit New Zealand. Big story in the front page. BDC pushed back on the audit. Don't have the date, but anyway, that told me pre-election, we've got a problem here. Remember, of course, that the qualified staff that we had, the experienced qualified staff we had resigned by December 20. Okay, 2020. Then we come to 21-22 financial annual report. EY came in and just to cover, because Audit New Zealand did not have sufficient staff. So we end up, EY come in and do one special audit, and they had cost overruns. Now, instead of asking, why did they have cost overruns, everyone around the table, rightly so, said, hey, hang on, we haven't got the money to spend on this. And so Brendan said, oh, just take it, okay? But nobody spoke about why they had to spend more time. In fact, and then we come to 22-23, which is the one that's been held up. Now, when it comes to 22-23, I asked for the draft audit opinion. What I got and what we've got here is an excerpt from the draft. This is the thing, these are the things that EY been asking questions for. Now, I'm going to say to you now that the audit opinion, draft audit opinion, went to the Opinions Review Committee of the Officer of the Attorney General. This is the standing committee. It is brought together by specialists who review a particular audit opinion for whatever reason. Okay. Now, I haven't seen that. Two people have seen it, apart from staff, the mayor and the then independent chair. I haven't seen it. I want to see it. Everybody wants to see it. So we can see, I don't want what's been taken out of it. I want to see everything, because those particular items that have been mentioned weren't the reason why the draft audit report went to the OCR. Okay. So now we fast forward to what we've got now, and obviously the 23-24 and now the 24-25 cannot be completed until the previous one has been completed. It kind of makes sense. No one's going to do anything. And one of the big bugbears, of course, is that there's out in the community is that the 21-22 audit has been held up because of the forensic audit, Balderdash. Okay, The forensic audit, the audit would have been completed by October 31 for adoption. They asked the questions, blah, blah, they had questions for the staff and all that, okay? Then the forensic audit came in, nobody is going to sign off anything when they know at a macro level, something's going to be done at a micro level. They're not going to sign off until you find out what the problem is. Their signing off is not because of the forensic audit, it's because there are big issues which have been identified in 2021 and 21-22, which have been overlooked, and now Brendan, in his own right, has said we are going to look at these. Work in progress has been a bugbear for me for quite some time, and I am aware that there are items being put in there which shouldn't have been put in there, and they weren't picked up because back in the day, reconciliations weren't being taken. They weren't being done, and I can get that from Brendan, okay, the auditor at the time. So it comes back now, well, maybe we should have a report. And I agree, through the chair, I agree. Yes, we should have a report, but why bother? Because you're going to get a massive report from the Auditor General once all of this comes clean, and they're going to detail everything. It's going to be on the website, and I'm telling you right now, people around this table talk about risk, reputational risk, and I'm going to say to you right now, Mr. Chair, that you've got it right now. The whole accounting process up until 2022 and even 23, because what has happened in 23 won't have changed. We get the same staff. So we've got problems, and I'm afraid to say the 5 minutes is up, and thank you, Lord.
Amen. Yeah, so in that case, obviously quite a bit of research gone into that. And I would agree, a lot of it, there's a lot of frustration for staff, a lot of frustration for councillors. And I'm sure Mr. Newman has heard the concern, and but I won't ask him to respond at the moment. But the motion is that the update on those 3 years annual reports be received. So all those in favour? Against? One against. Name recorded, Mr. Nolan? Yep, name recorded. Okay, so that motion is passed. The next item on the agenda is the dangerous, effective and sanitary buildings policy review. Well, in the break. Oh, okay, all right. Okay, so all right then. People getting a bit older, so we are going to have a short break, and we'll adjourn until 20 minutes to 6. 5:40 for those online. So we have a short break for about 8 or 9 minutes. Table. It's a secret. Okay, so we're back live, and so we're up to agenda item number 15, which is the dangerous affected and sanitary building policy review. And that was prepared by Bronwyn Little and reviewed by Simon Bastian. So Bronwyn, have you got a summary of this report to make, or?
Yes, through you, Mr. Chair, we can do that. Just looking at so we started with the review. We brought the draft of the policy, which was presented to this committee, and with a recommendation that it go to council as the draft and therefore then out to consultation. And we put consultation out, and we had a month as required. It was consulted on through various means with the website, in the papers, on social media. And we got one submission, which was from Health New Zealand Te Whatuora, suggesting that we place more emphasis on the provisions of the Health Act in particular. And we've, as officers, that this is obviously for you to consider. This is your time to consider that submission. They did not ask to be heard, so this is the final decision for RAC to endorse or to endorse with amendments the policy for council, and it will go to the next council meeting in the end of August.
Thank you. Councillor Reddy.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Fortunately, RAC can't adopt the bylaw, only full council. Well, we can. That's why I hear that, but it's got on the recommendation adopts the language we need to.
Yeah, recommend.
Recommends it.
Oh, sorry.
Sorry.
Yes, say that.
Sorry, yeah, recommends that council either adopt or, yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah. Councillor Weston.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just a curly question. Why is it called insanitary and not unsanitary?
It's a thing. It's in the Building Act. That's what it's described as. That's what we are required to produce a policy on.
This is the council meeting, not you. We have reviewed this policy before, and I know your recommended adoption for council is the one for minor amendments. They're not major amendments.
No.
But I think we have been through this policy before, and a lot of work's been done to update the policy, and so thank you for all the work that has been done. And I'm happy to put the motions to the floor en masse. I'm Councillor Reddy.
And I'll see that.
I was going to read the poll. I was going to read them out first, but so the recommendations are that the Risk and Audit Committee receives a report, notes the decision of council on the 28th of May this year to adopt the draft dangerous, affected and insanitary building policy. Note that the public consultation engagement process undertaken as required under the Building Act 2024 and Local Government Act considers a submission received from Health New Zealand. And number 5, recommends that the Government Council adopts Part 2, the dangerous, affected and sanitary buildings policy with the minor amendments, which is attachment 3, to take effect from the 1st September 2025. So I'm happy to move those 5 motions. Are you happy to second those 5?
As I said before, we're not adopting. I'm saying 5.2.
We're adopting that. We recommend, this is what we're recommending to council as a RAC committee. It's a clumsy wording, but
yeah, okay.
But we cannot adopt. You're right. We cannot adopt the policy. What we're saying is, and how I'm reading is that we're recommending to council. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So move Bash is seconded. Reedy. Rito. I'm just going to put it straight to the vote. In all those in favour. I'm not sure if it's no. I can't see them. Okay. Okay. So are those are unanimous? So thank you for that, and we'll move on to agenda item number 16, which is the business continuity management system, which we workshopped earlier today. And that is on page, looking for, oh, here we go, brilliant. 138. And that was prepared by Simon Bastian and reviewed by CE Mr. Pickford. As I say, we workshopped this earlier today. Simon, did you have any further comment to make on this report?
Through the chair, I'll take the report as read, and as already alluded to, we had a comprehensive workshop earlier today covering all the points that are tabled today. So happy to take any further questions.
Have you have a question first?
Not a question, but just a comment. I just want to commend the staff for the body of work and want to just note in it that when you look at the overall maturity scores, we're already looking at elevating our performance from 11% to 60%. So, and as pointed out, it'll increase further because we can't move past that 60% until there's been reviews and testing. So well done, staff.
Yeah, we all get better with maturity. So the draft recommendation is that the Buller District Council Business Continuity Management System dated the 13th of August be received. It's been moved by Councillor Grafton, seconded by Councillor O'Keefe. Is there any further discussion with Councillor Reddy?
I just did raise it with Simon B. We're actually the agenda item talks about a draft, and yet so attachments draft Buller District blah blah. So then we've got the Buller District Council BCMS. So I'm just not sure whether or not we are receiving the draft or a final version.
Mr. Bastian, clarity, I presume it's a draft, is it?
It is a draft until we've taken the feedback from the workshop to finalise it. It'll be an operative document post-workshop and post this meeting. So it was tabled as a draft, and the feedback that's been raised today will be incorporated into the document to finalise it.
Okay, so the recommendation is that we the Buller District Council draft business continuity management system.
Yeah.
Sorry, received. Yeah. Yep. So as a movement second, okay with that? Yep. Yep. Okay. Okay. Any further discussion, Councillor Weston? Is there a spelling statement?
Yes. Thank you. Page 144, crisis management in the blocks there. It should be determine impact, not deter 9 impact.
Well, I was right.
Page 144, under the brown box of crisis management, it should be determine impact. It's not. It's spelled wrong.
Okay. Right. Any other further insights? No. Then I'm going to put that to the floor. All those in favour of receiving that draft system? Carried unanimously. Again, there's a lot of work that's gone into that particular report. So we're moving on now to agenda item number 17, which is an update on the PMO process improvements. And once you all scroll through to that particular page, which is on page 281. And this report was prepared by Simon Pickford. So Simon, I guess you get to talk to the report before we have discussion.
Through the chair. So this is your regular update. The major item this update is just informing you around this program and project management framework, which has been trialled within the IS team since late last year and has proved very successful. So this is about an overall program project management framework for the whole organisation, so that we actually do projects in a way which deliver on the outcomes and have robust processes around them. So this piece of work's been led by Jess and is a really good outcome for the organisation. So it's not meant to constrain what we do. It's actually meant to be delivering great outcomes for the various projects, and it gives teams a framework to follow for every project. So whether it's putting a pipe in the ground or whether it's implementing a new software system, the overall framework gives you some good guidelines. So that's the purpose of this framework. Jess is here obviously to answer any specific questions about the detail.
So I just noted fiscal responsibility and value for money, always a good thing. Yeah, always a good thing. And good to see. Councillor Reddy.
Yeah, a couple of questions if I may, please. Page 287, I've got it. Number 1.f, lack of internal audit. It says complete, which is good, but it's not complete. All we've done is one internal audit for creditors and payroll. There are other internal audits that need to be completed, and we have it on the schedule. Sorry, it was on the action point list, I think, to prepare a internal audit timetable, I think I called it. I questioned it and said about February 26th. We didn't have a date. So we haven't completed that. It is an ongoing at the moment until such time that areas such as work in progress, accounts receivable, and a few other, including procurement, are audited internally. The reason why we have the internal audit is because, like the forensic, we go to a micro level rather than a macro level as we do with an external audit. So I'm just asking the question there, please, Simon P. Why is it complete when it's not complete? And the other question I've got is 1I, where the BDC Chief Executive will sign off on all claims and provide a written declaration to NZTA with each claim that the claim is, correct and so on. So that last one, of course, unless that last one is included in the or somewhere job description or something, responsibilities for the CEO. Have we seen that? Is there a document there that says that the CEO, whoever that might be, is responsible for signing the declaration? So two questions: internal audit and CEO NZTA.
All right, I'll answer your questions back to front. So your so the NZTA claim sign off, so that goes through. So what NZTA wanted to see from us was a really clear process of checks and balances through that for each claim. So we do those monthly through the TO online portal, and therefore they end up with me under my delegation to sign those off as correct. So what they wanted to see from us was me with my signature on the bottom line to say this present is correct. So that's what that's talking about. It's just within my delegation to approve each claim. I mean, they vary in value, but it's done every month. We've actually caught up all our claims now. I don't know if that answers your question, but I'm not sure if that's really what you were asking, Councillor.
With respect, Mr. Chair, it doesn't say that on there. What it's telling me is that BDC Chief Executive is going to provide a written declaration, not delegated. It says the BDC Chief Executive will do it. Now, if you want to change it to have it so it says or delegated or whatever, that's fine. But if you want to push it down the line more, it's fine with me. But that statement is not correct.
I'm not sure I asked the question. So yeah, I'm not sure I asked. I understand the question.
Well, are you talking? Excuse me, Mr. Councillor Reddy. Are you talking about 1I when it says at the bottom of the page, the BDC Chief Executive will sign off on all claims and provide a written declaration to NZTA, which each claim that the claim is correct and compliant with funding arrangements. Yeah.
So it's quite specific that the CEO will sign a declaration, not anything else, not the invoices and that, but a declaration that they are correct.
Yes,
and this seems to have come about, but you just said to me before, I was informed that delegate stuff like that.
No, sorry, just to clarify. So that statement's correct. what's the question? So I sign off on all claims. So is that your question?
I think Mr. Reid, he's delegated to do that.
Yeah.
Sorry,
So-
Mr. Pickford's delegated. He
So it's
doesn't
within
delegate
my-
to someone else.
It's within my delegated authority to sign off those claims, which is what I do every month. So normally that hasn't happened.
Yeah.
Prior to this.
Correct.
Yeah.
Okay, so that stands. So
that's correct. Yeah.
So when you're talking about delegation, you're talking about your delegation.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Correct.
Sorry.
Right. And the other question was about, so the lack of internal audit function. So we don't employ someone to do an internal audit role. So I guess this, to your point, was around, we'll bring back a program. So it really depends on the cost of doing those audits, but to your point, it's an ongoing piece of work, and I guess it will never be complete anyway. So you're correct, we can change that to ongoing. So many of those, particularly in section 4, are ongoing and they'll never complete. So this will just be an ongoing program of work because you'll have a rolling program, I guess. But we're just happy to update that.
And you're right, Mr. Reid, you have it was in our action list.
Yeah.
Councillor Howard.
I was just going to say, we've had this conversation about the internal audit and it was explained to us, and it was said in discussion with council, staff would say what they think would get the best value out of internal audit each year, and it'd be an ongoing program. So I don't think that needs this says quite clearly that it's going to be a program that so it includes it as ongoing.
Councillor O'Keefe, you've been twitching.
So ultimately, Simon, are you responsible for checking on everything? And so the staff are obviously happy with this new framework, and it's easy to. And so how do you actually check to see if they're compliant?
Through the chair, so you're referring to the NZTA claims?
Yeah.
So for each one I look through, I just make sure that everything looks as it should. I speak to my general manager in the infrastructure team. If there's any queries, I'll ask them. It's basically a big Excel spreadsheet. So I just go through, make sure everything looks as it should. Ultimately, I'm relying on the advice I get from my team. But what NZTA want to see is ultimate responsibility sitting with the CE, which I'm happy to address given the issues we've had in the past. So yeah, it's just basically because we've never had to do it in the past, the CE never had to sign off the final claim. And they put this in place, from memory, 2 years, I think we had to do this. So yeah, it's not in perpetuity. So it's just while we get back on track, which all the claims we've had have been processed.
Yeah.
Which has been good.
Councillor Sampson.
Just a minor, it's probably been there before in R1A, page 283, is progress procurement policy has been redrafted for consideration by council at the 18th and the 12th meeting. Just wondering if we could put a year.
Yeah, happy to update. I'm just trying to keep this as a rolling progress.
Yeah.
So you're right, as we move into new years, yeah, do that. Yeah, I can do that.
Okay, I'm going to put that recommendation to the floor at the PMO review process improvement opportunities action plan update August this year, 2025, dated the 30th of August, be received. Do I have a mover for that? Councillor Weston, Councillor Sampson. Any further discussion? Councillor Reddy.
We had a, sorry, Mr. Chair, they rhyme. My apologies. We had an internal audit, as it says, back in April. It was done, it was completed, and yes, I'm going to talk about the internal audit. It was completed back in April. It was public excluded. There's never been anything released to the community about having a internal audit completed by PwC, and yet it's on here under 1.f. So everyone knows that we had the audit. So that's fine. Why don't the community know? Now then, when it comes to the actual audit and some of the findings on an ongoing email communication with Paul, CC, Simon Pickford. And that I believe that what they have found were glaring errors in the processes under payroll and creditors. Now they go back, okay, so it's not the existing staff, they go back a little way before these guys were employed. So the question is, what is the follow-up? Okay, I haven't seen the follow-up yet. I have seen a bit about, oh, we're doing this and we're doing that and so on. But I have heard things, but I really don't know. This isn't a operational matter. This is a governance matter. Now then, talking about costs. I'm sorry to say that, we don't need to do internal audits. Well, yes, there is a cost associated with that because over time, we read about it all the time now in the paper, fraud as an employee. Very, very simple, especially in a place like, up until recently, PDC, okay, with the amount of money and invoices flowing through. Now, okay, so they've done accounts payable and they've done payroll. I've already indicated that I want to see more come through to, I've mentioned it before as well, accounts receivable, work in progress, procurement. And that'll be at a micro level, which is what they do here. So yes, there's a cost associated with that, but it seems to me that we can spend 10, 20, 30,000 on a lot of other things which we hadn't budgeted for because the money's in the bank. I know that, and it's been approved by the budget. So there is no reason why, and we don't have to have it every second month. Once we've determined a timetable, they come in and they'll sign off. The same as they do for the other three, my understanding PwC, for the other three, other three councils. Okay, so I'd expect BDC to be on board with this. Don't rely on the external auditors because, as I said, theirs is macro rather than micro. So now that everyone knows in the community that we've had an audit, it was to do with creditors and payroll. They don't know the outcome of that, but I'm very disappointed. I'm not surprised. And I want to see some more action on that. And I also want to see, as I said before, that timetable for planning put forward. And we've agreed on February, Mr. Chair. So, but I will, I'm happy to do the sort of second the.
I think it's already been. I think you missed a boat. But thank you for your comments. And there is, as we've said before, there is in the action plan, there is an internal audit program being developed now, which hopefully will cover the bases that need to be covered in terms of giving you some surety and community surety in terms of our council operations. But without any further ado, I'm going to put that motion to the floor. So all those in favour of receiving the report? Pass unanimously. Thank you. The final item on the agenda is moving in committee, and the reason we're moving in committee is to prevent disclosure and use of official information for improper gain or improper advantage. So we are going to have a slight pause while we shut off the public meeting. So thank you all those online for joining us, and see you next time. We need to move in second. I'll move that we go into committee. We have a second for that. Councillor Howard, all those in favour? Hallelujah. Thank you to council staff. Thank you to